Hello and welcome to the second episode of Tea Time with Crystal Clarity. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that I am finding very, very beautiful in this time of quarantine and this time of change. For about the last year now, I've been practicing present moment awareness. And when I began to practice, I really didn't quite grasp what it was that I was trying to accomplish. When the concept was given to me, I thought, well, of course this makes sense. We can only be creative in the present moment. We can't go back and change what has been, and we certainly can't go forward and control what will be. And so, of course, it makes sense to be present in the moment. And how are we anything but? What I discovered as I began this practice is that we are very rarely in the present moment. And it's actually in the present moment that we are usually letting all of our pre programming just run amok. And we don't even realize it at all. We are just constantly reacting to things and moving on to the next because that's what we've been programmed to do. It's always the next thing rather than being with what's happening right now. And it's usually not until the end of the day that we sit down and go, oh my gosh, all these things happened, and I feel all of these ways. And what I've learned with this present moment practice is that it actually empowers us to notice how we're feeling in that moment and then to take a second to decide, how do I want to react to this? Or how can I best react to this? And definitely at first, it is definitely, how can I best react to this? And sometimes the only answer we have, due to old programming and due to old triggers, is to sort of pull ourselves away from the situation. We don't realize that we have programmed ourselves to react in a certain way and that we are very much out of control of the way that we're acting. And so when we notice that we are being caused anxiety or overwhelm, we have a tendency to react in a negative way. As we become more and more present, these things become signals. And so I may feel a little flutter of anxiety, and I realize that the interaction that I'm having is creating that anxiety. And I can then sort of bring that conscious awareness to the back of my mind that says, what is this about and what do I need to do with it? Am I really anxious about what's happening now? Is there something that I'm worried about that's going to be happening? What is it that's making me feel the way that I feel? And what is it that I want to do about that? Rather than just having a reaction that I am not even realizing that I'm having. Oftentimes when I start to work with folks in this present moment awareness practice, they begin to realize that they're reacting in ways that they never noticed, or that they're overreacting to things that they would have never realized or had been able to admit that they were overreacting to. Present moment awareness almost is sort of like beginning to watch yourself on a movie screen, but from within yourself. And so you're able to see what's happening. You're also able to feel what's happening, but in a way that you're not so attached with it that you get carried away by it. And so in the past, what has happened is that we have an experience in the present moment, and usually our mind and our focus is scattered between maybe 10 things that are happening in the present, and then maybe something that happened earlier and something that's going to happen later. And then right now in the present, this person presents me with something, and I have this automatic reaction to it. The reaction that I have to that particular thing may not have anything to do with that thing at all. It may have to do with the fact that I'm dealing with something in the past, or I'm worried about something in the future. It may have to do with the 3 things that just happened before that person walked in. Could be the thoughts that I was having before they came in. But as I begin to get present, I can begin to notice that. And so if the attachment or the anxiety that I'm feeling really has nothing to do with the person that I'm dealing with, I can then take a moment to go, okay, I'm feeling anxious about what's going to be happening 20 minutes from now. Let me get present and be present with this person and deal with this thing. And then I can shift my energy here. Then I'm able to focus on each thing and deal with each thing in the best possible way, rather than having myself scattered and having my emotions be attached and reacting to all of these things. And so again, this is going to come back to that creative process that we have talked about. And so we know that our thoughts are attached to our emotions, and our emotions are attached to our reaction. And so if I can begin to notice in the moment what I'm thinking about and how I'm feeling about that thing, and maybe I'm thinking about what's happening directly in front of me, maybe I'm not. But when I notice where my focus is, then I can begin to piece things together about why I feel the way I'm feeling, why I'm reacting the way I'm reacting, and how I would like to do things differently. Now, it sounds very simple to be present. However, we are constantly being pulled in directions that tell us not to be present. There's this thing coming up, and so we get to thinking about something that's going to happen a week from now. Or we did something that wasn't our best, and we're feeling guilty or upset about that, even though it's in the past. And so we get stuck in these things. Now, it's very important in the present moment that we acknowledge, I'm nervous about this thing that's coming up, or I'm guilty about this thing that happened. And then we can address it now in the present moment. Now, oftentimes we want to either hurry up and fix it before it goes wrong, or we want to go back and fix it so that we don't have to feel bad anymore. And so what we have to realize is that we don't really have either of those options. What we have is what we can do right now in the present. Right now in the present, I can understand what I can do and what I can't for the future. And I can go ahead and do the things that I can. But then I have to come to peace that I've done all that I can, and then find a way to focus on something different. As far as healing the past or feeling better about the past, we have to also bring that present. We have to understand that I can't go back and fix it. I can't make it not happen. I can't wish it away, or I can't say I'm sorry enough to have made it not happen. But what I can do is understand where I went wrong. I can acknowledge that what I did was not the right thing. Maybe acknowledge that I hurt someone's feelings or that I didn't live up to my own standards. And then I can begin to look at how from this point forward I can begin to do those things more mindfully. If I make a commitment, I'm able to be more mindful about what that commitment entails and what it's calling for from me, and how I can be present as I meet that commitment. I can also hold on to the lesson that I learned, that maybe when I'm not as prepared, or when I'm too scattered, or when I allow myself to hold on to stress that is involved with other things, I'm not as present. And when I'm not as present, I may create a situation that later on I'm going to feel guilty about. And again, it's through this present moment practice that I stop having this issue with needing to go back and fix the past, because I was really present in that moment and I was intentional with what I was doing. And so even if it may not have turned out exactly the way that I wanted it to, I know that in that moment I did the very best that I could do, and I feel confident in that. And so it allows me to not have to create any guilt or wonder or worry, because I was very present and very intentional in what I was doing. And so this practice, as with all practices, it seems like, oh, well, I want to just run out there and start trying to be present every moment. And absolutely, that is a wonderful idea. That's what we would love, is to be able to be present in every moment. But what you will find is that it is a struggle at first, because we have practiced for so long, and because society is constantly pulling us. And we have that old programming that says move into the next thing, move into the next thing. Being present can be quite a challenge. And so it's certainly, like all things that we talk about, is a practice. And we may find that we're really good at being present during certain times. I find for myself that my present moment practice, even after practicing so diligently for a year, I am best when I'm alone. There is no outside pull. And so, in taking that time alone, I'm able to practice and get better so that when that outside pull is happening, I have that extra strength to not get pulled into that old pattern of behavior and instead to continue to stay present. It is difficult when you are dealing with other people because in this present moment practice, you're not always ready to respond immediately. And in our society, when someone asks a question, they want an immediate answer. When someone's having a conversation with you, they want an immediate response. And sometimes what we find as we begin this present moment practice is that we don't always have an immediate. Sometimes we actually feel very confused because the way that we would have normally responded, we realize doesn't really match what it is that we're trying to create for ourselves. And so someone will ask a question that we would have been able to very easily respond to, and they expect that very quick response. And instead, what they get is, I'm not really sure about that, or can I get back to you? And so that can be frustrating to them. And so just sort of meeting them where they are, deciding what it is that you'd like to share with them about what you're practicing and how, deciding if they're someone who can understand the value of your practice or someone who is just going to think that that seems crazy. Again, it's meeting yourself and the people around you where you are in that moment and being able to share what it is that you're doing and how you're feeling and why you're doing it in a way that helps you to be successful, but also helps the people around you to understand and be compassionate with what it is you're doing. And so, as with all practices, it's always very supportive if we have some tools to work with. And in our present moment practice, a few of the tools that we have that are most easily obtainable are our breath. It's always with us. And then also our mindfulness. Just noticing that we're not feeling as good as we would like to feel, and then getting curious about that. Why am I not feeling the way that I want to feel? And what is it that's triggering these feelings of discomfort or anxiety or whatever it is that I may be feeling right now? Once we've identified that we're not feeling the way that we're feeling, that we're wanting to feel, we can actually begin to use our breath to bring us back into the present moment and into a calmer state that allows us to begin to be curious and to explore. And so there is a lot of different breath work out there. The most commonly used in this sort of practice, I think, is just mindful breathing. And what that is just simply breathing in through the nose, completely filling the lungs, and then breathing out gently through the mouth. And what we're doing there is we're reminding the body that we are safe, that we are okay. We're reminding it of our natural flow. We're beginning to calm the mind. And we're bringing all the systems together in a calmer state that allows them to work together as we allow ourselves to get curious and explore what it is that we're feeling and how it is that we would like to respond to how we're feeling. You can also use visualizations with this deep breathing. And as I said, you are encouraged to do some research and find out some different modalities of deep breathing and breath work. There are a variety out there. Some are very, very helpful to certain situations where others are more helpful in other situations. Again, it's a flexible tool that you can bring with you wherever you go, and that can work in just about any situation. And so being able to embrace that for yourself and knowing that you always have that with you helps to keep you present. Often, when we're using tools that are outside of ourselves, like a crystal or an oil, something like that, we may find in that present moment when that anxiety is creeping in or when that pressure is getting too great, oh no, I left my crystal in my car, or I don't have time to deal with my oil, or maybe I'm in an environment where someone else will be sensitive to it. And so being able to have these tools that anchor us, that are always with us and that are readily available to us, is an extremely valuable thing. And so I encourage you to use the breath, to find those moments of quiet where we can listen to the mind. The more that we practice these things on our own, the better we get as we're in that moment. The stronger we get. The brain begins to automatically look for those sorts of things instead of looking for the old triggers or the old patterns of behavior. Instead of reacting in anxiety or fear, we take a moment to take a breath and say, what is this really about? And then we react from a place of more balance. And so as we do this, we begin to, as with all things, create a new cycle for ourselves, where that it becomes easier and easier to be present. The more present we are, the more in control we become, the better we feel about what we're creating, the better we're able to relate and exchange energy with those around us, the better we're able to support our own happiness, well-being, and the better that we're able to create those things that really make us happy and that keep us flowing, rather than those things that keep us stuck or stagnant. And so, again, just bringing yourself present, spending that time with yourself, giving yourself that gift of present moment awareness. It truly is a gift, and it is a gift that we can give ourselves in each and every moment. Dr. Wayne Dyer likes to say, either you are now here or you are nowhere. And I find that to be very true. When we are not here in the present moment, we are really just scattered and we are really nowhere. We really don't get much done. We really waste a lot of energy. We spend a lot of time being unhappy and making the people around us unhappy. And so, again, with all things, it's simply a choice. Do I choose to practice this present moment awareness? Do I choose to notice when I'm not practicing and bring myself back? Am I willing to reach out for the tools that I need to allow myself to develop this practice that works for me? And as again with all things, we're going to find that being present comes easy in certain situations and not in others. What works for me may not work for you. We're going to have our good days and our bad days. We're going to have days when tools really work well. We're going to have days when we have to find completely different tools. And it's having this flexibility and really being present. It's only in this present moment that I can discover what I need right now. I can't know right now what I'm going to need 5 minutes from now. Because 5 minutes from now, the phone may ring and I may get a terrible phone call. Or the phone may ring and I may win the lottery. You never know what you're going to need, and that is why being present is such an important thing. Now, does that mean don't plan? Absolutely not. I think that we can be flexible in our planning and that we can certainly set intentions. We can certainly set ourselves up for success. But it's also honoring the idea that things aren't always going to work out the way that we plan them, and that it's in that present moment that I can meet that plan with the energy that's needed and reassess it in a way that's going to allow me to be successful, rather than, oh no, it didn't work out the way I expected, now what? And we find ourselves in the storm. And so, again, it's that present moment that's the eye of the storm. The storm is raging around us saying, oh no, things aren't going as planned. And we're going, but that's okay, because I'm still and I'm calm and I can see what's needed. And I can reach into the storm and I can start to pull out those integral things that are going to help to calm the storm. And as I begin to practice this, I notice that Not only is this present moment awareness practice affecting me, but it begins to affect everything that I do, and in that it also affects everyone around me. And I begin to see others coming more into their present moments. And as we're all able to do that, we begin to honor that each of us is practicing that present moment. And that sometimes I'm going to need a minute to respond, or sometimes I'm not going to call you back for a few days because I really need time to process. We're beginning to move away from this place of immediacy and honor ourselves as humans who need time to process, who need time to understand how we feel and why we feel that way. And in understanding this, we also understand that as we practice and get good at this, we're not going to always have to walk away. We're not always going to need all of this space, because as we get to know ourselves better and as we get to move into this focusing on what's happening here and now, I'm able to respond from that better feeling place that's going to keep me moving forward without having to ask all of these questions or look at all of these things, because now I'm always present. I've practiced enough that I've gotten really good at it. And so, again, it's creating the space for yourself to practice. It's noticing when you're not practicing. It's using your tools. It's noticing how you feel. It's noticing when you're not feeling good. And are you in the past or are you in the future? How can you bring yourself back to the present? And how can you, in the present moment, feel better about what has happened in the past or what is going to happen in the future? It's bringing it all together right here, right now, where my power lies. And then ensuring and reassuring to myself that it is in this moment that I am powerful and that I can do the most good for myself and for everyone around me. And that when I let go of the need to worry or the need to wonder or fret, and instead I'm just present, I just notice what I can do and allow myself to reach for that next right thing. Rather than fretting, rather than getting anxious, I just allow myself to move. And with this movement, I begin to find that things flow. And it's in this flow that I realize I am where I've always wanted to be. Will I be there in every present moment? I would love to believe that that is possible. But can I be absolutely joyful and blissful in those moments that I am? Yes. Can I celebrate that present moment? Yes. And it's in doing those things that you're going to see less and less of those moments when you don't feel like celebrating. And so I encourage you, practice as much as possible. Don't make it a job. Allow it to be gentle. Allow yourself to notice. Don't judge it. If you're not where you want to be in the moment, ask yourself what you can do to get there. I promise that beating yourself up or telling yourself that you should be doing something different is never the way to get there. Instead, it's, what do I need right now? How can I feel good right now? What support am I lacking? What thoughts am I thinking that aren't in alignment with the rest of what I'd like? How am I holding on to old patterns? How am I creating more frustration or fear around old beliefs or old feelings and emotions? And how can I start to look at those in a way that help me to embrace what has been and to begin to let go of those things that are keeping me stuck? Being present is the best gift that you can give, not only to yourself, but to the world. I encourage you to practice. I encourage you to notice how you're feeling. And as always, I encourage you to reach out when you need help, to look for those tools, to ask for the help, the support, the advice, the reassurance that you need. Allow the universe to support you, and allow all of those of us who have come to help to help. There is never anything wrong with asking for what you need. And sometimes when we ask for what we need, we're told, no, not right now. Or we're actually even told that what we thought we needed wasn't exactly what we needed, and we're getting given something different. It's again in that present moment that we're going to be able to recognize that. If I'm stuck with the idea and the expectation that it had to look this way and it didn't show up that way, I can create a lot of chaos for myself. When things show up not looking the way that I expected, when I'm in the present moment, I can begin to ask questions about that. Well, how can I use this thing? Is it useful? Is it something that I accidentally called forward when I wasn't paying attention? When I was more stuck in the past or worried about the future, and maybe it's just something I need to let go of. And so it's being present, being patient, and noticing what's working and what's not. Taking it one moment at a time, giving yourself credit, asking for what you need, and it all begins to fall into place a little at a time. Is there discomfort in this? Absolutely. Is it a challenge? It can be. But it's one of those things just like riding a bike. We just keep coming back to it. We allow the challenge to be what it is. We meet the challenge. We get better. And eventually, we're riding the bike without even having to think about it. So I send you the light and the love. I honor where you are, and I offer you any support that you might need as you begin to embrace this way of living for yourself. Be gentle. Take it one moment at a time. Some days are going to be really, really great. Some days you are not going to be present at all. Honor that. Notice those patterns. Allow them to happen. Bring yourself back present and practice some more. You're never doing it wrong. You just need to notice what's working and what's not. Until next time, namaste.